Hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto Atlas. Unless you are new to the channel, then it is very nice to meet you guys. For those of you that are new to the channel, just to give you a quick rundown of how we kind of run this channel, I talk about Bitcoin, I talk about another cryptocurrency called Orchid, aka OXT, and seeing if there's any relevant major news with that, as well as how it's kind of moving on the charts. And then I try to touch base on another kind of high moving altcoin, what's going on, and then some relevant news and things like that. So try to make it really fun. If you guys enjoy yourselves, definitely feel free to subscribe. I'm trying to build a super awesome, amazing community, and it has luckily been going that way so far. And I value your own opinion. Everything I say in here is my own opinion as far as the chart research goes, and then I'm sharing different articles with you guys. Excuse me. So yeah, I highly encourage you guys to leave comments down below. And yeah, let's try to get to 50 likes on this video if we can. I would really appreciate that, guys. Bell notifications so you know when we go live. So let's go and talk about news with Bitcoin. First off, big mining move. Bitcoin's hash power increase 42% in 2 days. Okay. So it appears many Chinese miners have completed their annual migration from Sichuan, with Bitcoin's hash rate spiking more than 40% in 2 days. For those of you that don't know what the hash rate is, the hash rate basically is the level of difficulty for the miners who are using these processing systems, such as like an ASIC machine, to try and be able to mine the Bitcoin blocks, and that also helps with the transactions that are going through, and they act as validators, they get paid the transactional fee, all that kind of stuff that gets entailed with that, right? So over in China, a big location, they had actually moved a lot of their equipment to another location. And because they did that, when the difficulty adjustment takes place, which is every 2 weeks, it noticed, whoa, hold up, there's a lot less competition going on now. And so we're going to make it easier for people to be able to mine. So the people that were still mining during that time, they were able to make a little bit more of a profit because they were able to acquire more of their Bitcoin during that time, right? But now they got themselves situated, and we saw, boom, a huge spike up, 42% in 2 days. Absolutely monumental. I mean, just take a look at this from Jason over on Twitter. Whoa, big jump in Bitcoin hash rate over the last 10 hours, plus 29.7% through to peak. Large numbers of machines just came online somewhere. Relocated Sichuan region miners possibly. So keep in mind that what this means is that there's now going to be more competition. And so when the next hash rate takes place, the difficulty is going to make it harder. And that means that the current miners are not going to be able to get as much as what they've been getting. And it also means that up until that point in time when this takes place for the change, that means also that the people that are over in China, they're going to be able to benefit from this a little bit in the short term. So yeah, it does change how the actual amount is that people are getting, and the price itself. We have the stuff with the election that we've talked about before, and we're still seeing how everything's going on there. The level of uncertainty is still coming back into play because of how much Trump and his administration are fighting to try and acquire that role in the presidential position. So that's one article right there. Next article is Bitcoin whale cluster signal $14,900 is a crucial level for Bitcoin to hold. Bitcoin whale clusters show that 14,914 is critical for the ongoing rally to see continuation. So that's a level of support we don't want to go below, right? So if you go just a little bit below the 15K level, all right, 14,914. That's what a lot of people are saying. This is data from Whale Map suggestion, right? As such, in the near term, it is crucial for Bitcoin to remain above 14,914 for a prolonged period. It would signify consolidation under a multi-year resistance at $16,000 and stability above a major support level. So keep in mind, right? When we had the run pushing up towards $20,000, from $14,000 to $20,000, it took place nearly in a day. And I've talked about this before in the past. It was also about a week because it just got underneath 20K, pulled down, started working its way back up and got a little bit higher, and then it further crashed. So could we see it happening very soon? With the level of uncertainty of things that's been going on, it's hard to say. But we did see that Wall Street, right after the election announcement with Biden as president-elect on Monday, the stock market went boom, right on up. It started exploding, and then you got stuff going on with the whole vaccine, right? So there's a lot of different information suggesting for the stock market to have a further continuation rally. Although a lot of people still feel that it is too overbought, but we're also printing out so much money that you got to kind of look at the side-by-side comparison. So the value of the dollar is going down at an exponential rate because of how much that we're printing of it. Well, the Federal Reserve is printing at least. And at the same time, too, you got these stocks that are considered to be overvalued. But if it requires more dollars to be able to get the stock because now there are more dollars, then is it really going up that much? And, you know, that's something to really kind of take into account. If anybody knows of a resource that breaks down kind of the realistic average of how these things are going and growing for the stocks, definitely let me know in the comments down below and let everybody else know, because I think that would be a phenomenal resource. But I'm not aware of one that would be a really cool, just totally transparent way, because I've seen something like that before with gold and what gold's actual gained value has been over time in relationship to how much dollars that there are, right? So it's like true value. So anyways, yeah, we want to keep an eye on this for sure. Now, we're going to go ahead and hop right on into the charts. Let's take a look at Bitcoin first, and then we're going to talk about Orchid, and then we're going to talk about Loopring. And if you guys are wondering why I talk about Orchid all the time, I see a very promising future for it personally, and I have invested in it a lot personally. And because we started off our channel here with a big following of people checking out the videos and showing their support and subscribing to the channel for this, I like to give a little bit of time for it at least. So Bitcoin first up. Where are we at? On the daily, we are still above the 21 EMA. Check mark, that's a good sign, right? If we're still above the 21 EMA, still a good positive sign. That goes for any of these cryptocurrencies, and ideally 2 to 3 days. I stay with the same fundamentals. If I sound like a broken record for some of these things, guys, and you might be like, oh, well, you know, it's the same info for some of these. Well, they're the fundamentals. And I think it's important that not only I have learned the fundamentals, but that you guys learn them too. And if you have further things that you want to add in outside of what I talked about, let us know in the comments. So yeah, we are above the level of resistance as it is on this big climb up. You can see that this is an ascending channel that's been taking place if we actually extend this out even further along here. And so by doing so, we have broken above on the daily. So this is actually repositioned now. More specifically, we can actually reference a shorter time frame instead of this very large scale time frame like this. Pull this in just a little bit more here, and then if we come across, we can't quite go across the top here. We can technically, you could technically use the tops of these, but then you're only using 2 reference points, right? And so the big goal is that we want to try and get as many reference points as possible. So something more along the lines of like right about here to me makes sense, because in doing so you can actually see that we have a breaking point where there was a significant drop off that started to take place as far as the candle goes in comparison to some of the ones in the previous days. And then after that consolidated period, there was a big spike up. So we got 1 point, 2 points, 3 points right here. Okay. But in this is actually not necessarily a good thing, because this signifies an ascending wedge pattern. However, we are on a very bullish run. And when we talk about the different cycles for this, it's expected to have an irregular movement and a very, very explosive form of growth. And we need to have some pullbacks on things too, because pullbacks are also organic. You don't just go up, 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 up. You go up, 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 back, up, 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 back, up, 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 right? It's the same kind of concept. In that sense, though, with where we are currently at, as this is an ascending, broadening wedge pattern, you should expect it to see it have a reversal. And in my personal opinion, we want to make sure it doesn't drop down to tap onto that 21 EMA. They mentioned the $14,900 range in the article, if you recall. A big concern if it drops below that, and from looking at the charts here, is going to be $14,150. Right now, it's having a little bit of a rally. It's above $15,416 or $423 here on TradingView. So it's still holding up pretty well, but not much of an actual set of movement. If you look at it on the previous candle for its movement, it went up a little bit, went down a little bit, came back, closed basically dead even. And we had a previous day that was the same thing. Big red candle, big green candle. So if we have this consolidated space, which a lot of people are hypothesizing, as long as we stay above roughly the $15,000 level, or the $14,916, I think is what it said. As long as we can consolidate in that space for a while, then it shows a good new formation of a level of support right? So that's very important. We want to get above this level. We want to get above $17,200 approximately. Or $17,200. If we can get above that, then that's another high sign saying that 20K is looking very, very promising, because there's very little space for resistance there of anything of past instances saying that it bounces off, right? So I think a lot more people would be receptive to it. You might have some big holders that decide that they want to take profits before it reaches the top, kind of as a fake out, and then it causes this cascading effect and panic. And that's going to have a lot of people really keep an eye on the charts, guys. It's definitely around the $17,200 mark and the 20K. If we can break both, then the sky is really the limit. We don't know where it could stop, where it could really continue to break out from there. Then you could take a look over at Orchid, and Orchid for the daily is above the 21 EMA as of the previous day close. Okay, good. Is it above the level of resistance? Yes, also good. But as I've said many times over and over again, as much as I want this to go to the moon and just be super explosive and just amazing, right? We have to have more than just one day of fulfilling this pattern for it to really feel substantiated. And we haven't had that, and over and over and over again, above the 21 EMA and then back below, above, down below, above, down below, above. Okay, it closed. Is this going to go down below again? The pattern that's been suggesting over the course of history of it since it hits the dollar range, it suggests that it is much more likely for it to go back down below this 21 EMA. As much as I don't want it to, you look at the data, right? And it suggests that it's going to go further down again, and it's going to go below the 21 EMA again. We're seeing a level of support that's being established right around 21.5 cents. So if it breaks down to that level right here on the daily, that would essentially tap the level of resistance that had been formed before. And it would make sense if it did bounce off of something like that and have another push up again. It looks like it's starting to form another consolidated space. And if you look at it historically, it's got a pretty repeated pattern of going up for a bit and then progressively moving down, goes up a bit, progressively down, up for a bit, progressively down, but steadily on the downward spiral. And we do have more of the coins that are going to be coming out in December. So if it's going to be making itself have a strong level of support for the long term, especially in this rally, and I think that's something that's so important, so key, is it needs to get its foothold into a specific range very soon. Otherwise, it's going to be even harder for it to have any kind of credibility in the market space for people to want to go in and fund into a project like this, whether you be a large scale investor or you look to be somebody that's smaller, right? If you see that something just looks like it's dead, you're less likely to get involved with it. Now, keep in mind that the company that's behind Orchid, AKOXT, they're putting a lot of work into the actual project, and there's some promising things that are coming out in the future, which I've talked about in the past. Ideally, mainly the integration with Windows and the fact of them also branching away from just VPNs and doing the nano payments and the whole marketplace. That's some really good positive news to look forward to. But the question is, when is that going to happen? What if the nano payments doesn't take place for another year, 2 years, 3 years, right? They said that they're looking for the long term in this project. And I'm hoping that they make some big moves really soon, because now things are really popping. And this could be not only a game changer for the price of for OXT, but for the actual adoption of it as well. And I'm sure that's what the team's goal is, right? Is they want it to be widely adopted. They want it to work well. They want to have a good application. But if you want it to be adopted, guess what? You need to have good marketing. And now is like one of those prime times with everything that's going on for people to start getting their feet wet with this. So yeah, as it is right now on the daily, guys, it is on the positive, not by much. We do have a new formation candle that's taken place with this, and you can see the very low volume that's currently on the daily. And so where is it going to go from here? We're going to see it has to break above this level of resistance that took place a couple days ago at 24.5 cents. If it can have a further continuation on there, then another major zone we're going to be seeing is going to be, looks to be right about here at 25, yeah, about 25.5 cents. You can see daily close daily open from there in its position. You could see these candle wicks. They had nearly touched it right there on those days. 3 more days in the back. There was a daily close that took place right here. So 25.5 cents approximately. And then we can get further into the Fibonacci retracement, and it'd be very nice to see it go back into this consolidated space. Even if it fell into the consolidated space for a bit there, just kind of establishing itself once again before having a potential further rally up. As much as I would love for it to just, straight up skyrocket like how it did here in the past, my only concern is that too many people look at it as a pump and dump again, and I want to have more credibility. So having some gains and then sideways action and then some gains would be nice, I think, in the long term. If it just goes up and up and up and up and up, hey, I'm not going to argue as long as it doesn't dump, but it's more likely that it's going to dump. Let's be honest. If it has major spikes up and then it drops back down. So as it is, keep an eye on those levels. And speaking of that, I'm going to go ahead and close this out right now. The big pump and dump type situation. Alrighty. Well, good and bad news, I guess. So I own some Loopring, aka LRC, personally, and I looked on Coinbase and I saw what was a big mover for the day. Well, guess what? It was Loopring, and Loopring was having a massive rally. I mean, look at the volume as well for the day. Just huge. This thing skyrocketed up. It went from approximately 15.5 cents all the way up to almost 30 cents, almost 29.5 cents, sorry. So quite a bit of a gain. But then you can see approximately 50% of that had then been sold off. And as of the new daily candle, it's currently having a further continuation down. So if you look at it in comparison to the previous days, you see historically from the Coinbase perspective, unfortunately, pump and dump situations. And you can see back here on September 17th, large candle up and then sell off. Next day, large candle up, then massive sell off. Further continuation down. The green candle, large, and then sell off. And the volume for those days was also very explosive. The rest of the days, everything was kind of falling flat. So somebody came in just massive on the market, and somebody also pulled out massive in the market too, right? So then progressively moving across here, same thing, massive up, and then a huge pull back down, new daily candle. So far, the volume just from where we have started today, which we're very, very new into the daily, right? The amount of volume that's taken place so far is very comparable to an entire day, such as back on November 4th, or it's already more than what it was back on November 3rd. Right? So that, with us just having a brand new day, we're going to see a higher candle for the daily for Loopring for sure than the standard. But as far as how high it could be, it's all speculation. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more about the levels that we've seen back on like October 28th. Bitcoin is having a further continuation rally right now. We can see it's up to almost 15,500. And I'm watching it on another chart here with the liquidations taking place, which I like this little chart right here. BTCUSD.AGGR.trade. And you guys can see a lot of people making purchases right now. It's having a good rally up. A lot of red that's been taking place. So that $15,500 level is still kind of been waiting just to see if we can officially break above that for the last day or so. And if we can break above that, as we mentioned, we got other levels we want to be able to test as well. So now we're getting that red selling off. See, having a good rally, and then somebody wants to be a party pooper. Why you got to be a party pooper? So I think people are starting to take profits here. You can actually see on the RSI, the Relative Strength Index, it had bounced off of the top level. So just as it was reaching that apex moment to almost being overbought, it started to have a reverse. So somebody, I feel, was keeping a really close eye on that. And if this was a pump and dump type situation, it probably was a pump and dump situation. So I like the fact that it had those big gains, and I'd like to see even more. I didn't take profit on this personally, and I've got different reasons of my own for personal reasons on it. But yeah, I would say it's more likely that this is going to have a further pullback, guys, especially if Bitcoin starts having its rally once again. Some people might be looking to allocate and take their profits off of this and capitalize on moving over towards Bitcoin side, as it has another chance at breaking some of these major levels and having that big explosive run again towards 20K. Because we saw like a $6,000 gain years ago, remember? So like saying $500 gain or $1,000 gain, something like that in a day, if that sounds crazy to you, go look at the charts in the past and just look at how much that they were able to go back then. Sure, we got more we have more Bitcoin now than we had back then, but at the same time, it's also more scarce, and you also have way more demand for Bitcoin now, and you have people with way more money that could actually be able to go and buy it, right? So there's a lot of things in play. I don't think a $5,000, $6,000 gain in a single day is really all that crazy. It depends on who it is that's coming into play and what the other people are doing, right? Anyways, that's going to go ahead and do it for this episode, guys. It's a little bit shorter than normally, but if you guys are new to the channel and you enjoyed this, once again, please don't forget to hit subscribe. Make sure everybody, if you guys haven't done yet, make sure you turn that little bell notification on so you know when we have a new video. I don't have a set time. I have other projects that I'm working on, and I try to get a new video out to you guys every day, the best that I can. And especially if I see something's going on, I might even pull back for a little bit. Like with Loopring, I wanted to play it out a little bit before I made it such a huge highlight and kind of identify what was going on with that chart pattern right there. And as you can see, we're starting to have further continuation down. So potentially it could have a rally back up, but it's going to have to break above approximately the 29-cent range, and as of its peak, according to the Coinbase side at least, around 38 cents. So if it goes there, then there's whole other forms of territory. I think CoinMarketCap, we can actually look over there real quick. I believe CoinMarketCap has a wider spectrum on this. So if we look up LRC, aka Loopring, and over on the chart here, yep, so as of historically, if you go back to when Bitcoin had its major rally, it went up to approximately $2. So from 20 cents to $2, you're looking at a 10 times right there, just that alone, right? And that's if it even stops right there. The amount of circulating supply is almost all of the total supply according to this. So 1,374,000,000, circulating supply 1,145,000,000. So you don't have too many things to catch you off guard with that. I don't know how many was in circulating supply or total supply back then. I'm assuming the total supply was approximately the same. This is a very specific number, so it looks like some has probably been added over time. Normally what you see is a total supply of a very definitive number, like 21 million or 1 billion, right? So very interesting information to be keeping an eye out with all this stuff. You can see more of the red starting to have a little bit further of a pullback. Can it maintain and go above the $500 range? Hopefully, by the time you guys see this video, hopefully, I'm hoping, who knows, maybe I'll be super excited. I'll be like, hey, my video just got done processing and everything, and Bitcoin's already at 16,000. Or it might be like, oh my God, it's $4,000. What? No. Sorry. I really would not want that. I'm sure a lot of you guys would not want that. Or maybe you would. I don't know. So many different ways to look at things, right? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for being here. You guys are amazing. Leave a comment down below, even if you just want to say hi or you want to give any thoughts on any of this, and I will see you guys in the next episode.